In this video, we will go a little more in depth into Bagapie add-on. So we did see already into the Bagapie add-on that we have an asset already done here for the Bagapie modifier, an asset browser here section that we can play with. We did see already that into the dedicated chapter of the asset browser, it was chapter 11. So this we did play already with that, and but we have a lot of more options into Bagapie ARM add-on here. So I will come back into the basic here timeline, and I will show you that over there. Where is the timeline to animation? Yes. Come back to the original one. I will remove, maybe just keep the cube, and we will see some options that you can find. You can see that here when you install Bagapie here, you have the YouTube tutorials that you can click on it if you want, the Bagapie documentation, and you have, and it tells press J. So what we will do is press J, and we have this nice menu, this nice pie menu that will appear, and you can see that it creates already a lot of options. So here, everything in architecture, I will not cover it except maybe the pipes that we didn't see yet. For the rest, the wall, the window, we didn't see it yet as well. The cables, yeah, you have interesting things here. So let's go into window, for example. It needs maybe something to add it. J. So if I tell a window is now in the pie menu, new pie menu in edit mode decay. Okay, so you can add this in edit mode, decay. Okay, and you have different kind of windows here. So you have window modern, and it creates windows from the face that is selected already. So very interesting one. So just like that, if you just make a subdivide like this, maybe just with two cuts like this, you will have this kind of face over there. And let's say you want this as a window, you make D and you go there and use a modern window classic here, and it will create that directly into edit mode. So you can play with all these options here. As you can say, it works very well. So yeah, all of that is architecture, and you can play with that, okay, with J as well. You have some options here that will work good into it. But the things that are really interesting here is the array, I would say, the array section here. I will not cover everything into that add-on. There are a lot of tutorials into that, into YouTube or other things that you can see. But I will just play with the array here and the scattering. The scattering for me, it's very important to create environment design, and that's why I want to show you that. First of all, let's go into the array section. So let's add just let's add a monkey over there, and let's press J and put a line like this. Okay, so you will have same kind of things that will appear into the modifiers, but with more options here, because it's made with geometry nodes modifier, and you can use more options over there. So it's just basic options that you have, but directly here available with this add-on. Okay, so I will just make Ctrl Z, and with J again go, for example, with a grid, and it will create the same kind of things, but with a subdivide here, the count that you can add to create a grid. In the simple modifier section, you just have two modifiers to add, but it's just a little more complicated this way. Okay, with J here you can add a circle as well, so this one is very powerful. You can play with the radius, you can play with the count if needed, if you want more or less. Okay, with the ring count, okay, you can add more rings. So yeah, you have a lot of possibilities there over there. Okay, So this one can be, you see there's little options over there that even if you move this, this will disappear, but here it will stay, and you can play with there's options if needed. Okay, so there's options of array are already really interesting. And then you have the curve. So you must select a curve. Okay, let's go and let's add a curve. Good. So you need to have a curve like this, for example, with an extrusion. Okay, and select your objects, and with J, just use the curve, and it will just create a curve deform like this. So very easily, very effective again. I don't know if it works with this. Yeah, it works. It fills the curves directly. So you see that in some ways it has really options that you have to make a lot of clicks to make the same with the simple modifiers, but just with one click. Okay. So here I will just remove this and remove that. And what we can see as well, so that's it for basically there's options here. You have the curve deform as well. You have the draw array. So for example, if you draw just like this, you will have an array into a curve that you did just create. So again, it's just a gain of time. It's just something that you can do basically with Blender. But it's just more simple to make put J like this and use it that way. So it's really more effective. Okay. Here I will just remove this. There's collections here that are not really useful now because it creates some collections to organize things directly. And here I can remove the duplication of Suzanne over there. Okay. It's just a duplication, so I can put it back into the collection like this. It should work. Yeah, no, not really. It's outside, but anyway. And here I can go now with J again, and you can see that you have some scattering options. So the first thing I would like to show you is the IV. So the IV, for example, let's add maybe, let's make something smoother with a subdivision surface with Control 2, shade smooth like this, and make a nice object like this. Okay, so now we can add some IV into that with JIV, and you see that it creates IV directly. You can play with this object here. For example, you can see that it will create IV just into one side, for example, or just the other side, just to manage the IV so quickly like that. So can you imagine you have an exterior scene and you want to add some IV into your scene? So easy to make. On the wall or something like that, it works pretty well as well. Even with a bigger object, it might even work better. So with J, I put back an IV into it, and you can see that now if I move it here, where is it? The IV parent here, I guess, yeah. If I move it here, you can see that I can add some IVs directly there, and it will create this nice curvy effect here. Okay, I can scale it up to have more IV here, and I can put even multiple IVs into this object. Like if I put J again and IV there and put it here, scale it up maybe a little, you can see that I put into both sides here. Maybe in that one I would like a little more here. So you can see that it's very powerful and save you a lot of time again. So all of that just with a few clicks, very, very powerful. The other thing that I would like to show you is in the scattering part is how to scatter objects. Here you see that you have options. So for that I will just add a plane that I will scale into edit mode like this. Okay, and subdivide a few times until I have a kind of grid like that. It will not work with a non-subdivided mesh, so maybe I will do it another time like this. you can add some landscapes to create some terrains with Ant landscape or things like that, and it will work as well. So let's go for scattering now. So here, let's say I have a few objects over there into the asset browser that I will find from the polyheaven. I will show you that later. I will just show you with a simple Suzanne over there. Okay, so you have monkey here. Maybe I will, in edit mode, place it well on the ground. Okay, like this. Like this, it has still the origin that didn't move anywhere, but now it's on the ground. So now I will want to select the first object, the second object, press J and go into scatter. And it will scatter directly into the surface. So by default, it creates something that can look a little geometrical or something like that. Not really interesting. But you have to play with these values here with the viewport display here, for example, or the density max or less, okay? So creates already more interesting stuff. You have the minimum distance between the objects, okay, that you can play with as well. So this is the maximum here, and this is the minimum there. So it creates already something a little less repetitive over there. What you can do as well is go into the transform here and the randomized transform. So you can play with the position, the X and Y, the rotation as well, but it will rotate everyone there. So not really that interesting here. The most interesting is the randomized section here. You can random some axes into the with a minimum and a maximum here. Value over there with an angle. So let's say you would like to rotate into the z-axis with a maximum value over there. And look at this, now you will have something that is really looks more natural. Let's say it will be plant, it will work perfectly. You can play with the scale as well, okay? You can play with the minimum value here and the maximum value as well. So for example, you would like to play with the global scale over there. You can increase the maximum value into all the sections here, and you will have this kind of effect. Okay, so now you will have big deformed Suzannes that can be interesting in some cases. Okay. Something that you can do as well here is playing with the seeds. Okay, you have the tools here that you can add some other assets into it if needed. So you see that it's already very powerful to play with this. Okay, you can mask with a texture mask if needed. For us, we will not use that. So yeah, already a lot to do with this you have the scale minimum and the scale maximum here in the global section that I prefer to use to keep the global shape of Suzanne, but just reduce it or increase it. And so it works very, very well with everything that you have to scatter on a surface. It can work with rocks, it can work with little piece of wood, or maybe some leaves that are on the ground. You can add some plants everywhere, so it's very, very powerful, and you can add several layers. So here I will remove that one and I will play with another one here. Okay, let's add multiple objects at once with not the Bagapie modifier but the polyheaven here. And we will go into the models, we will go into the nature, and we will go into the plants. Let's go just with simple, maybe ferns like that, okay? You just click and drag the ferns into your project and just remove the instance just like this. So you will have 4 ferns like that. Now you can just select this object with this one selected as well, but this one as an active object. And again, you go with J and just make a scatter, and it will scatter all the ferns into your object. Okay, so you can play with the minimum and the maximum. Okay, so let's add something a little more big. Let's play with the density max maybe and the distance minimum. So we want something with less density, far less density, let's say something like that. Okay, and increase a little the scale maximum to have something more natural. Then you can play again with the randomized transform, especially with the rotation into the z-axis, to have something that will look more natural and less, more random. And it will be perfect to add multiple layers like this. Let's say you want to add some debris, bark debris like that. Let's add the bark debris into our project just like this. Don't forget to remove the instance here, and then you have your bark debris that are here over there. You go into this and you make J and scatter it again. Okay, you just go there into this. So you see that you have a lot by default. You remove a lot of density max value like that. You play a little with the different options you can have, like the minimum scale, maximum scale, maybe not that much for this one. Okay, and then especially with the randomized rotation into the z-axis, this one is very important. Like this, you will not have something that looks non-natural. Okay, so like this you will have really easily something scattered into your object. Maybe I will put less big over all of this, and you can play with all these plants, or maybe in the rocks. Okay, you see that you have some rocks, mossy rocks here. Let's go into mossy rocks. So I will add these rocks into my model, into my project over there, and then you see that I can just make again a new scattering over there. So you see that it adds another layer. You can rename this layer, remove this layer, hide these layers. It's so powerful and easy to work with that. So here you can just play again with the density maximum, not too much. Here it seems that the minimum and the maximum scale are too big. So let's decrease that and play with the rotation value here. Okay. And maybe if you want them to be more inside or more outside, you can play with the Z position there. You can see that you can play with that to make them a little more inside the ground. And look at this, you have already something that looks good just with these objects like that. It will work perfectly. Let's say you have a texture on that under that model. So for example, if you go into textures, if you go into terrain, I will add just a brown mud leaf like that over there into that model, and maybe add some division into the scale here. So maybe I will put it 2 times or 4 times. Let's say 3 times might work well. Yeah, look at this. And now, look, you have something that looks very natural, and just in a few clicks, okay? If we put just an HDRI on that, just for the pleasure of the eyes, to have something more beautiful. So let's go with an HDRI here. We go with an outdoor for sure, a natural one, maybe with some sun or a sunset. Maybe we can find a sunset somewhere. I'm not sure if we have sunset here. Maybe that one looks right. Okay. And we go into the render tab here. So we will just keep EV and maybe go into ray tracing. Like this we will have some shadows, I guess, I hope. Maybe not in the end. Yes, we have something, but not that much shadow here. Yeah, we have to go into cycles to have something more beautiful. So we'll play with GPU, compute, okay, and play with the denoise here. Yeah, it's because I did open shading language. It will make a time until Blender will make the kernels. So I come back to you when it's finished. Okay, it finally came out here. And here you can see that we have a nice result over there. I will just put the denoise here, and you can see that we have something that looks already really natural. We will see a little more how to use these tools with the geometry nodes and how to make some really realistic landscapes into that. So I would like to show you the other options that you have here. Over there, I can just hide everything, as you can see. And now if I select my object, let's say I would like to make the same kind of scattering, but by more control where I want the object to be, okay? So I can press J again, and you see that you have the scatter paint and the snap asset here. So the scatter paint is a very powerful one. You just paint where you want some. Really easy, this one, okay? So not complicated to use and easy to understand. You see that you paint where you want to. You can just use the tool options here to place the strength that you want with the strength here. For example, if you want less, you can add less here. Maybe a little more over there. You can add more. And then after, when your painting is done, okay, you just click exit paint mode, and you just have your new layer that is done. So very powerful one as well, okay? And this one here, so I will hide that one as well. And this one here, for the last one, maybe I will play with the ferns. You can play with multiple objects at once. So for example, if I take all these objects, it will work directly into it. And yeah, with J you have the snap asset here, and you just click and that's it. Okay, so it's just a click and you add a new one. So very easy to add some like that. Simple. Okay, and when you finish, you click on escape and everything is done. Okay, so yeah, as you can see, it works pretty well for that. It creates some new collections with everything that you use for have everything well organized. So yeah, a very good add-on for scattering and play with all these options that I did show you. That's why I wanted you to know a little more of the Bagapie add-on. Here it's the free version. The paid version has really a lot more options for scattering objects. For example, you will have a lot of objects that are pre-configured, ready to use to scatter here. So can be very good to have this. If you want to support them, don't hesitate here. So that's it for the Bagapie add-on. And into the next chapter, we will start to play with animation finally. So it will be how to use the key-based animation, and you will see that it's so powerful, this technique to animate, and so simple in Blender.